Let us now learn about another topic or another tool in Creo Parametric that comes under the category of engineering, and the topic to be discussed right now is rib. So the reason why I am toggling between different options is because we have already started with the exercises and we have seen the basic extrusion exercises. So now there are some exercises which required us to have a knowledge of datum plane and which also requires us to have a knowledge of rib. So that is the reason I'm going option wise and I'm trying to go in a sequential order. So do not get confused if I have directly skipped from extrude to plane instead of discussing other options, and from plane to the rib instead of discussing other options. So I'm trying to go in a sequential order. Please understand. Now, what is a rib? Basically, a rib is required in a structural or a solid part geometry for adding strength or improvising the strength of the particular part model, and it basically reduces the bending in the geometry. So this is a kind of structural element in your geometry. And to understand the method of generating a rib and to see how a rib looks like, let us work with an example over here. So first I will be creating a extrusion, and you can also see that the rib is not accessible right now. The engineering features are not shaded as this particular features because they are only accessible if we are having a solid part in the plane in a solid part ready with us. So first I will be creating an extrusion. Let me create a base of random dimensions. So as I'm explaining right now, I'm not bothered about the dimensions. This is a vertical structural member. Now I need to extrude this, and before extrusion I need to ensure that it is a closed loop and I should be having the visibility of a shaded region. And in this particular case I am not having any shaded region to be seen because there are two rectangles crossing each other. So I need to delete the extra edges or segments by using the delete segment command. I have deleted this. Still I will not be getting the shaded feature because this particular dots are representing two segments which are present over here. So I will delete them as well. One more is pending over here. I'm sorry, I've deleted double time. Yes. So now this is a kind of L-shaped structural member. Let me try to keep it symmetric and press OK. So I have the structural member with me, or a part, solid part. Now imagine if we are using this particular component for some application, and as we are progressing, as the usage is progressing, there are little bit chances that this particular L shape gets a bend. This particular perpendicularness is deteriorated and you may be having some structural strength reduction. So in order to avoid all those things, you have to provide a supporting member over here which is touching both the faces or both the surfaces. So let me try to show you. And now that the part model is ready, you can see that all these features are accessible right now. So let us discuss the first option in rib, that is profile rib. So for creating a profile rib, I need to have a solid part first. Then I need to select the plane on which I'm going to create the rib. So I'll be selecting the central plane and I need to align the view. After that, I need to use references and click the surface and click on the surface, because the rib what I'm going to create right now should be in contact with both the faces. So I have to create a reference on which I can create a sketch. Now I can go to line option and click on the first face, connect it to the second face and press mirror click. Now if you are wanting to change the dimensions or the locations, you can change it. Say for example, I want it to be 80. This both are equal, and let me press OK right now. So now you can see I'm getting an arrow over here, which indicates that some kind of extrusion or some kind of geometry is getting directed to this side, but I want the particular rib to be on the opposite side, because creating a rib in the air is not possible, so it has to be in contact with both the faces. So the moment I have changed the direction, you can see a extruded feature is created, which is basically following the path of the line what we have created. So let me show you the line again. So this was the line what we have created, and a triangle is formed with respect to this particular line. Now you can see the difference between general sketching and rib creating. The difference is, for the rib, we do not require a closed sketch, or we do not require a closed loop. It can be a single line that connects two edges. So this is a single line which is connecting two edges. I'm getting a symbol over here of a dark shaded point, which indicates that the line is an open end. But still I'm comfortable with this because profile rib is created in this particular method. So I just pressed OK, and you can see that the rib is created symmetry, following the symmetry on both the sides. If I'm wanting to change the direction, I can just click on this and I can change or shift the location of the rib on the other side of the plane. So there are three options for me to choose from, and there is obviously another option for changing the depth or the thickness. So this particular part is called a rib, and it is adding a structural strength to your main component or the main part which is particularly used. Now if I'm wanting to add another rib on this particular side, as discussed in the previous video, I need to create a plane. So let me try to show that. I'm creating a plane with respect to this plane. Let me close it. Click on plane and select the plane. So this is the reference plane, this is the parent plane, you can tell, and let me just try to change the direction on the other side, and let me just keep the distance to be something around 70 units and press OK. Now on this plane I will be creating another rib. So I have to click on the plane and select the rib option, align the view. You can see that the alignment or the orientation is different. I can change it with the sketch setup to be as per your reference sketch. So this is a decent alignment, and I can try to work on this. First let me try to create the reference. So in the Creo 6.0 version, it is sometimes not required for us to use the reference option, because reference is automatically created when we are trying to sketch the geometry. You can see the moment I've clicked on line and I'm touching the edge, a reference line is created. But in the older versions of Creo, this may not happen. So in that particular case, you have to first create a reference, and then you have to work with the sketching part. So let me change the dimensions of the rib in comparison to the previous rib. So at first instance, you will be getting this particular arrow in the opposite direction. So you have to change the direction, and you can change the thickness and press OK. So you got another supporting member. Likewise, if you are wanting to create a member on this particular side, you can do the same thing. So this is about profile rib, and this is the importance of rib, and it is quite useful, especially in structural mechanical components. So let us go to exercises and see what exercises we are having with respect to the creation of ribs.